one of to control the swelling in the face in a way, but I'm not sure that actually works well because the swelling have to go through your face
Yeah.
before it redistributed. So if you put that sweatband on for the first couple of days, then it just basically you can see the swelling is
Yeah.
right on top. So
I wonder if maybe travel can something with plane and heat and pressures can have anything to do with increasing sort of swelling. So that's why I was happy to come to you.
Did you have much swelling?
No.
No, because there were a couple
Almost
of
nothing.
There was a couple of ways of looking at managing the swelling. So you remember we had tablets.
Yeah.
You know, anti-inflammatory
Yeah.
tablets. We have when we do the injections in the front, we also not just the front but also in the back.
Yeah.
We also mix in with the anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
So we mix in, what do we mix it in? We actually mix in things like for anti-inflammation. So have you ever heard of people like I told you, the joint injections as inflammatory?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we use some of these anti-inflammatory equipment to mix it in our solutions to do the injections. So what it means is when we work on it, as we work and do the injections, it reduce the inflammation while we are working, and of course afterwards there's all these crazy antibiotic and anti-inflammatories and all the applicator that also helps to reduce the inflammation for your swelling. But I'm glad to know that it's working and it has reduced the swelling.
I didn't really notice anything, to be honest. A tiny little bit in patches, but it wasn't anything to. It wasn't like any of the ones you've seen on some videos of people when they've had their transplants. A bit crazy.
I mean, even though when I first before I do all these anti-inflammatory things, I in my early days of hair transplant, just going back maybe 15 years ago, so when I first did it, the swelling isn't that major, not major, common.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. But I guess some places they don't really too concerned about the swelling. But to us, it's very important because it's part of the healing journey. I mean, imagine everyone gets swollen up, and how are they going to go back?
Yeah, I think maybe it could also be part of your techniques where you inject the solutions to raise it. So I think that could probably give less damage.
Yeah, a little bit to a small degree. What you're saying is we use injections to raise the skin up to create a little bit of more space. We call it tumescence, and will create more space. And when you work on it, then when the injection slows down, then the space disappears. So yeah, that's something we do.
I think that could be less traumatic for the. Also, I think obviously one of the other reasons. So the reason I chose you was the specific mapping of the follicles. So obviously I knew exactly how many I'd be getting.
Service area, treatment area, mapping and measuring.
Yeah. So that was that reasons that you give a very specific amount. And you tell us why, and you show us the reasons, but also the size of the punch as well, and that could be a big difference to trauma. I think.
Usually, right? I mean, the other day we did a video, I don't know if you've seen, and we got a free sample from one of the supplier.
Okay.
You have to use this button. No, sorry, wrong sound. Sorry, from supplier. Beat out. So we actually did a video on. We had this lovely supplier who gave us a punch to try out.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, it's nice, and I'll pick that size. That was just quite small.
Yeah.
Anyway, so before we actually use it, we look at it, and I thought this is something not quite right. Okay. And then I measured up, and then I realized actually the size is not right. And although they say the size is
whichever millimeters.
Yeah. And but in reality they are like A4 size up.
Oh, really?
And I was like shocked. I'm not
Yeah.
my patients. But it's easy to get into the thinking of are we using a small punch? But then depending who you speak to, I mean, someone who is who use different brand or different manufacturer
Yeah.
can even the same equivalent size, let's say let's pick a number 0.85 mm punch, can actually be very between it can be actually 0.85 mm punch, or it can be 0.95 or even 1.000 size. So depending on the manufacturer and depending on how individual, I mean, I guess you imagine you went to that rugby sales person who would have said, oh, it's much smaller. 0.6 or something.
Yeah.
There's such actual size I've ever come across by measuring 0.6. But they would have just said that and but I think the size does matter. The smaller it is, the smaller it is, the more time consuming to actually do it.
Well, I assume that, I mean, you use a small one, and I was there for about 12 hours, right? So it was sort of, it was 7:30 in the morning till, no, it was about 7:45 in the morning till about 7:30 at night when we actually completely
It
finished.
sounds about right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Because
that's CGD.
that chain of hotel. Yeah, I did, and that, because then again, that also makes me think. You know, you see some places where people have had a lot of hair transplanted, and you think, how have they? I can't believe they would have been in there for 12 hours as well when they've had it done, because they're quite fast in and out.
Yeah.
So maybe they use a lot bigger punches.
So the punches, honest, it's not the right word, but the correct punch or actual punch size can vary with manufacturer.
Yeah.
And the quoted, not to say the individual quote, but what they actually manufacture and what they actually put in on the pack can be different. So it can be 0.9 mm, but what they say is on the pack is 0.7 mm. So that can be a bit of a difference. And actually, you just need to the other point is how many hairs or how many grafts in there. I actually come across some website who not only recently, maybe we say the graph, the quotation is only a graph estimate.
Yeah, yeah.
So the treatment itself is only a graph estimate.
This is the other thing actually that reminded me. Obviously, you get your quote from the salesperson who has gone to the doctors and they give you this quote, and then I think to myself, you'll get there on the day. And so obviously, when I came to you to have my real sort of consult, yeah, obviously you could see that my hair was a bit finer, and that I would need a few more grafts to make it denser. You think when you get to those places on the day, are they just gonna carry on and do what they quoted you, or are they gonna say, actually you need to have double the grafts, so you're gonna have to pay double the price, and you're gonna be put in that position on that day, surely. So that's quite. I think everything that if you can go to see someone, see their environment, see how they're doing it. That's just like the biggest comfort, I think, and that's obviously the selling. That is the selling point.
We want to do it with transparency and honesty, so it's what it is.
And I think that's just what a lot of younger people need to know and see as well, because obviously they get drawn in with these great deals that you see online, on Instagram, on Facebook, and they think, oh, that'll be fine, that'll do.
I mean, if you look on our emails, a lot of patients sometimes first line they say how much is 2,500 grams.
Yeah.
So that's like is 2,500 grams really what they need?
Yeah.
Is 2,500 is what they think they need, or someone told
probably,
or so just insist that really let's send the photos for couple of pre-assessment.
Yeah.
Look at the area, see if that's kind of in line. Sometimes it ended and we will know.
The thing I've read as well, obviously there are some places which will sort of promote unlimited grants, and
What is it?
I don't know whatever you need, whatever they think you need, and then I've read where some people have over harvested and not used them.
I had that too.
That is scary,
Yeah.
because the back of your head would look so bad, and then you can't use it again.
The most important thing is that the donor is limited resources.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only so much that you could harvest from them.
This is going to sound really crazy, but originally, a long time ago, I thought that you could just like cut the hair out the back and use it on the front. I thought that's just what they did, and then you just reuse it again. It would just regrow, and you could use it again. So I think it's really important, because still a lot of people don't know that the hair comes from the back.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't use it again, and then you put it in the front. So a lot of people still don't know about that. So I think it's important for people to know that properly. And obviously, as important as it is going in the front, it is coming out the back. So obviously, you've got to choose your very specific follicles, 1, 2, 3 spores, and get them from the right places. Balance it out so that you would never know that they've been taken out. Because I do know some people that I've seen where it's quite obvious that they've got patches in the back of their heads where they've had grafts taken. So I think
that's one thing about planning, because if you have a clear plan to extract the hair follicles, let's say 2,800 grafts, then you can plan it carefully. We're going to take half from half of the donor, and then within that half of the donor, we segment it into smaller squares, and we can then really work. We're almost like once we've drawn. Remember the lovely square that we did in the donor? You probably won't remember.
No, I do remember, because I've got a picture of it on my Instagram, obviously.
All the things you keep that one. So basically, those little square grids, that's a pre-drawn out area. So I know each area we need to target a certain amount of grafts, so that we can complete the extraction as planned. So it's not all the halves in one area, and so the idea is to spread. I mean, there will be some areas a little bit up and down, maybe a few grafts up on this area, maybe a few grafts there. But then the idea is to spread the extraction as closely as possible, so that the spread of the FUE size is a little bit less noticeable. And that's not something. Interestingly, that's not something that was taught when I first do FUE. When I first did FUE, you'd be surprised that one of my mentors is one of my mentors. He would just go as the flow. So he would start off the injection in the middle, would start working on it, and if that area wasn't a good area, he would just go to another area and then start doing it. And if that's a good area, we would take more from there. And then there wasn't a plan, so to speak. So
do you think people still operate like that?
I think some people would still do that. That's how they always do it. And I think now the newer generations more care about this sort of thing and look at it in more detail. But no, I think so for a lot of people, we think, halfway point we get about half, then we are on target. But then this the subsection also is important too. But then each school of thought, each clinic or each house or each technique or is a bit different. Some house focus on get as much as we can in the middle center there, because that's where the stronger hair follicle is, and the rest will take some. And I think there's slightly more methodical approach to spread evenly in each section, etc. But it's not a must. It's not something that was taught in the but I kind of sort of figure it out just by chance, by experience, and sort of the better spread is just people don't have better, more even chance to look more even. And in fact, one of the other common things that they do is they like to start taking care follicles in the center, but lower down in the center. And and that was what I was taught to do when I first started doing hair transplant. That was a long time ago, 15 years ago. And because the hair in the center and the lower actually is a little bit easier to extract, to harvest.
Yeah.
Of course, go for the easy one. It's so time consuming already. You need to
Yeah.
And then and you trying to take the more longer, deeper, higher. We used to just go in the lower section first, and then you see some every extraction is quite low. But then as you go along, then you realize actually the lower it is, although it's easy on the day, when you do